Hi, guys. Welcome to the CarameLLized channel where we keep it real and we talk about a lot of things. You guys know that from time to time we have special guests here that we talk to and they tell us about themselves. And today we've got somebody special, somebody I'm going to talk to about just general life and what they're all about. And please listen. And I hope you guys learned something from this interview. So, without further delay, Irene, please introduce yourself and just tell us about yourself on this channel. And let's do this. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Hi, guys. Nice to meet y'all. Thank you so much for bringing me on here.
Sure.
It's such a pleasure to be here and share my story. My name is Irene. I'm 30. I like to say I'm a Dallasian.
Ooh. Yeah.
I've been in Dallas pretty much all my life, as far as an adult life, and I'm in IT, and I have a beautiful family, like sister, mom, dad, everything together here. And so I'm just here to just kind of share my experiences and how I got here to this place in this big age.
Sure. So Irene, you went to college.
I did.
You went to college. We're not really gonna say where, but you you have a degree, very educated woman. What kind of a family do you come from? Are you African? Tell me more about yourself?
So I am African. So my parents are African, and I was actually born over in Africa. And so I came here when I was young. I think I was like maybe 5 or 6. So technically I'm African. I like to think of African. Africans think I'm American because I grew up here. Yeah. But it's all right. But pretty much our family dynamic has been a very much African household. So my mom always used to tell me, I don't care what they do outside in this household, you're African.
Okay.
She said she doesn't give a rip what they do outside in that American. We are not allowed to do certain things. It was just it was a very typical, strict household. Education was always paramount, and there was no two ways about that. It was everything else came second.
Right.
I did the regular things though, but I still got to do activities. So I was in choir, I played volleyball, I played basketball. And so it was really a fulfilling life that I had when I was younger, and I got to meet some of the best people ever, which I'm still friends to today. I have friends since like middle school that I'm still close. We're 20 years deep in this.
Okay.
So it's just like I have a lot of experiences and fun times that I have had, enjoyed, and been a really big portion of me being who I am. You know, when you have like that family of choice, my friends are my family of choice type thing.
I love that. I love that.
So that was pretty much like growing up, upbringing wise, you know, just the same strict households. And the funniest story I will ever remember, which was kind of pivotal for me, is when I had my first boyfriend.
Oh my gosh. Tell me more. Tell me more.
So I'm like, obviously, this is like high school, so I'm not really allowed to date at all. I think I was probably like 15. This was before I had my car and everything. So like, I'm like learning how to do things. And so prior to this, I was like your quintessential nerd. I love anime. I love manga. Anything Jap, I was so into it. I loved it. Right. And I gamed and I did all that stuff. So I really wasn't, boys were not just in my radar. I never really like looked at boys and stuff like that. And so it was a track meet. And so this guy ended up telling my friend that he liked me. And so she was just like, oh my God, kiss it. You know how your friends like hype you up?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, no, you're lying. And so like when we got back to school, I think the next week we got back to school, he literally came up to me and asked me out. And I was just like, okay, cool. And so like we went on our first date. Like he took me to freaking Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese.
It was cute back then. Don't
Okay,
do that.
Okay, all right.
It was cute.
I'll give him the pass.
Because I like games and stuff, so we played arcade games. And I was like, also, it's not like he was money. It was like, we were like 16. And so, so we went on a date, and then we ended up like actually like being boyfriend and girlfriend. And I think we had been dating for maybe like a month or so. And so it was around prom season. So I was a sophomore. He was like older than me. And so he was going to take me because only juniors and seniors can go to prom. And so he was going to take me to prom. But that meant I had to tell my mom. Right. Because of stuff. So I hadn't come up with an idea of how to tell her yet. But on my phone, he was my screensaver, and he had his shirt off in the picture. He just sent it to me. We hadn't done anything, but I had him saved as my screensaver with his shirt off. So like I was doing homework on we had to do homework in the kitchen table with my dad so he can see. And so at some point I got up and left, and like my phone went off like with text message or something. So like the picture popped on, like he could see like it lights up, and like he could look over and see. So he sees this boy with his shirt off on my phone. When I tell you the hell I went through.
What? Oh my, these are African parents.
He was pissed to the point where I was no longer going to school. I like the car that they had bought me, I'm not using it anymore. They were like, he literally took off of work to drop me off in the school, walk me into the building. And he was like, you better have broken up with that boy. Otherwise I'm not here. So I had to break up with him because and my mom, he did that for like 3 weeks straight. Right. And picked me up after. So that was like my first experience with like dating, boyfriends, anything. And we really, all we did was kiss. And it's like we didn't even make out kiss. We just like pecked. And so I was scared straight. I will say that. It was just a lot. So ever since then, I never really had like a boyfriend. So that was like my first and only boyfriend, really. And so that was the start.
That brings us to, okay, guys, I need to let y'all know something about this interview. This interview is very much out there, right? We're not going to be very conservative about what we're going to talk about. If you have any kids around, this is the time to let your kids go to bed or go somewhere, go and play. We're just going to talk about real life, real stuff, stuff that kids go through when they have African parents. They grow up in America and they are exposed to different cultures, different things. And so I understand that you're 30.
I am. I'm a big age.
And you're still a virgin.
I am.
At 30.
I'm not trying to be a 40-year-old virgin, so if any of y'all listening, hit me up in the DMs.
That's great. That's great. So tell me about your personal experiences and what you started experimenting with, in order to kind of just do stuff. And tell me more about that.
So it really, like I mentioned, like that experience when I was like 15, 16 with like that whole boyfriend type issue, like with my parents stuff, like it really did send a shock through my system. And I was never really like a boy person anyway. Like obviously I had like people I thought they were hot, like crushes, like TV crushes and stuff like that. But I never really thought about like me with them, like relationship wise and stuff like that. So it was definitely college. That's when I realized I'm kind of hot and like people like me. So that's when I really started like getting, but I was a late bloomer. I am still kind of a late bloomer, but and then I guess it's just because we never really talked about it in our household. Like obviously with African parents, sex relationships are not really that big of a deal. All they care about is school, school, school. And then once you're done with school, they're like, okay, so when are you getting married? And I'm just like, so at what portion was I supposed to date somebody and like get like figure out how to do a relationship? Like where was that?
Right.
Where was that?
Yeah.
Like, how does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it was just that whole entire segue for that is just kind of where it began. And in college, actually getting attention from like guys and like people like wanting to like take me out or like do stuff, and like obviously partying. And that was the first time I was away from my parents. I was by myself pretty much. And I did kind of get a little wild. And so like it was just more so with the partying and not necessarily like the guys, because at that time I didn't really get it. And so I didn't want to look stupid because everybody else seemed to already know stuff like that. And so that was another thing that really kind of made me feel kind of embarrassed, is because it seemed like everybody else had experience and I didn't. And so it was when people were talking about like them dating or going out with somebody else, I'll be like, oh yeah, no, yeah, I just slept with him yesterday, or like whatever, or his dick was big or something, or like something like that, stuff like that. And so, and I'm just like sitting here like, okay, can't relate, but all right. I was like, I thought we just went to got ice cream, and like, I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
And so it was just a bit of that was just way, I don't know. I didn't know how to like talk to people about it, because growing up, we never talked about like stuff like that. I mean, obviously your parents, right? But we never had a conversation at all, period. I learned about sex through a PowerPoint in fucking the cafeteria gym. Sorry. And so, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was like, you're gonna have to edit a lot of stuff. And so it wasn't until I really, really met somebody I thought I liked.
Okay.
And it wasn't even at my school. So one of my best friends from like middle school, he went to a school in Louisiana. So it was his 21st birthday. So we went out there for a party to celebrate, because he was starting this big party thing over there. So we went out there. I met a guy. And I thought that this was going to be like my love story, because I was like, I had all like the flutters and the butter, like all of the like stuff or whatever. And so, I mean, obviously, well, he was definitely experienced because he was older than me, but we started like just talking and making that. So like I was there for probably 3-4 days. And so the first day I met him, and then we started like really talking, and he was like going through. And it was then that kind of just started the, okay, I'm okay with like being like, I'm all right to take that step forward, right? But then he ended up not being who I thought he was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
He was a total F-boy. And so I'm glad, like at that moment I was glad. I was like, dang, I would have really went all the way with him. But no, I was like, the most we did was like make out, and he like fingered me. And so then that's when
okay.
And so,
that's explicit.
I mean, okay. And so that's when it really that's when it hit me. Like I was just like, you know what? Maybe I can. Like I was like, you know what? I do like boys and stuff like that. And so I was just like, all right, this is it. But then after, so I would probably say like after I came back to Dallas, I'm thinking we're still gonna have a thing or whatever. And he's like literally ghosting me, acting weird. And my friend was just like, I told you not to talk to him. I told you not to talk to him. And I was like, I didn't listen, because obviously I'm hard-headed. But after that experience of like feeling like I'm crazy and psycho or whatever, and I was just like, absolutely not. I was like, these men are for the streets. I was like, these men,
not all of them.
I was like, oh,
nice guys.
Well, I ain't met them yet. Clearly.
Okay.
So I was just like, so that's what really started my like, okay, I really don't care. I was like, yeah, whatever, we can like talk or whatever, but I'm like, I'm not taking it seriously, because men don't take it seriously. They don't take me seriously. And so I'm just like, whatever, forget it. So that's what started my freeing my inhibitions, I would say.
Whoa. Okay. And honestly, what will those be? Now tell me about the whole experience. Did you ever have a brief period in your life where you just got a little bit wild, or you experimented on stuff? Tell me more about that.
So that really started after I graduated. So again, the big thing was always school. So after I graduated university, and started like my job, I was getting like actual money now. And so I was that was also like a game changer.
Right.
Like,
money's always a game changer.
So I was getting actual money, and it was like, I think that's when Instagram and like Twitter and stuff like started being really popular. So I'm seeing people getting flued out, all of this like fun. So it's like a weird space for me, like trying to come into myself as an adult and trying to like figure out my own life and like also, you know, enjoy. So what really started off, I was out with one of my cousins and we went to like the little African clubs here in Dallas. And so I didn't realize I had so much, I wouldn't say rage or like that, but I was like, I don't know. I just have like a lot of like stuff that I didn't realize.
Right.
And so we were out to this like club and we were like chilling, talking. And so like the guys that we met there wanted to take us out. We went to Waffle House and then they brought us back to their place or whatever. And so at that point, obviously I knew what they wanted, but I was like, I wasn't in a position to like, I don't know. So I'm not going to do that. So, and so I was just like, let's do something else. So we like played like a truth or dare game, and it started off with, I mean, obviously very like PG things, and then it got really R-rated. And so the first time that I actually got into that BDSM stuff was like in that.
What's that?
BDSM.
BDSM?
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
I don't know what BDSM actually stands for now that I think about it.
Okay.
It's like,
but what is
but
it?
it's like the
what
bondage.
Is it
It's like basically dominant, submissive, bondage.
Oh my gosh!
I know.
Oh my goodness,
I know.
Okay.
At that time, well, that's what he was into. So at that time, he was a dominant, and like I didn't really know anything like that. But he thought like I would be like a submissive. So like he like hit me with a crop, and I absolutely hated it because I hate pain, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't even get needles at the doctor. I'd be looking at the nurses. I'm like, ma'am, if you a young nurse, I don't want you. I can't even. Okay. So I absolutely hated it, but that was like what I got introduced to. Like that was the first starter. And then he was actually, thank God he was an actual nice person, and he would like force me to do anything or whatever. So we ended up being friends, and so we talked. And so he took me to a playroom. And
a playroom?
Yeah. There's like a club. There's like, back in those days, this was pre-COVID days. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Okay. That's a lot of experience for a virgin. I mean, you must have been startled and confused, and I can imagine.
It was definitely a lot, but I wish
at that point you were just like, you know,
at that point I'm like, I was getting over a heartbreak. I'm 22. I'm just trying to figure it out. Like at that, I was like, I just started my adult life. Right. I got a job at a corporate, like my first corporate job.
You're getting paid.
I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to do life. And I wish I had like the support of, I didn't know who to talk to.
Right.
There was no one older than me that I could really talk to. I mean, you know, as Africans growing up, it's just, we don't really talk about sex. We don't talk about relationships. We don't talk about like what to do in these scenarios. And it was just very, and I'm a Cancer. So
oh my,
you know me and my feelings be up and down.
Cancers, very emotional people. To all those Cancers. And let me tell you something. I'm very much into the zodiac sign thing. Like I am kind of borderline obsessed with that. I'm a Taurus, so we're very calm, very nice people. So yeah. Anyways, you were saying?
No, yeah. And so that's pretty much how it got started. And so after that first playroom, it was just a world of like
it just got wild.
It just got, and then at that time, I'm like, I'm going out, like I'm going clubbing. I was going out every day of the week. It was great. I was going from Monday.
Oh my.
Actually, I would rest on Monday. I was going out from Tuesday to Sunday.
So how were you functional with your job? I mean, this is work. You had to wake up early, or you were just functionally destructive. If that's a thing.
I would say that, but also at the time, I really wasn't a drinker. So it's not like I'm drinking or like doing stuff. So it's not like I had like anything that was impairing me.
Oh.
I was just, all I did was like chug a Red Bull and like go. And so like at this time, I really hadn't gotten into drinking or anything like that. And so.
So you were actually sober.
I was sober. I just like to have fun. I like to dance. I like to be, I like to have fun. Okay. That was literally it. Mm-hmm. So at that time earlier on. And so that was like when I was just like really, again, I had been sheltered all my life. I had like, my parents were so strict. I didn't go to parties. I didn't do anything in high school or middle, like at all. Yeah. So college was like an eye opener for me. And so like college, everybody's broke. So like, it's just like house parties and frat parties and stuff like that. And so that's like gross. But like here, coming back to Dallas, I was like, oh, there's like clubs like with grown folks. Like you get VIP. They bring the drinks to you.
I mean, so your parents are strict. So were you living on campus or you're staying at home? Because if they were strict, how were you going out that much? Or were you just, oh, are we opening another can of worms? Are we going somewhere where we don't need to be going?
I was like, I'll just say that my beginning of my college career, I was in Iowa. And needless to say, I quickly came back. And so I finished out my college career here in Richardson. And so then when I was here in Richardson, at that point, I had literally just been sneaking out. So
wow.
Because I had my car and I was just like, I literally like, I knew my parents are very like predictable people. They go to bed at 11 o'clock.
All African parents are sort of predictable.
And so it was not even like that hard. And all I had to do was make sure the garage opened slowly enough for me to roll under.
What? And so you would actually drive your car? How would you like crack the engine up?
No, I would like put it on like the neutral thing.
Irene!
Well, because like the way our street was, like there was nobody behind us. Yeah. Honestly, if there was a car that drove by at that time, I would have been like, it would have been bad because I would have hit somebody. But I just let it roll back. And then when I was on the street,
oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. No, and then you wouldn't put the lights on or anything.
No, that would be too bright. For sure. And so then I would just like, and so then I would just go to like my friend's house or whatever. Like I never drove around in my car like while I was like doing stuff like that because I was like I knew and honestly we lived up in North Dallas and I was going to downtown. It was just no way. And so I would like go to my friends, drop the car off, and then get changed into my actual outfit because you know I'm like sneaking out, so I gotta roll and like sneak out. So the only thing would be done would be like my face and my hair, and I was just like, and then my sister would be like, sometimes she would catch me, she'd be looking at me, she was like,
Did she come with you?
No.
Oh my God.
At that time, no. But it was just because, oh gosh. And so my first, like the experience that I had that would ultimately have like changed me, like as far as like realizing, oh, okay, this is something that's actually profitable for me.
Oh, so it became profitable.
It became profitable because the like.
Oh my!
It didn't start out as like as a profit.
Trying to get more coins in.
Girl,
tell me more about that.
I'm seeing people getting flued out. I'm seeing people buying Birkins. I'm seeing people buying Louboutins and all this stuff. Yeah, and I'm just like this. And I'm looking at my paycheck like, you know, I thought this was real money, but maybe not.
No,
maybe not. Maybe I'm not making real money.
Wow.
And so it was this one guy who I was with, a Nigerian, obviously.
Nigerian.
The Nigerians.
When they say Niger don't carry last, they literally mean they do not.
And I don't know if it's like, and honestly, I don't know if it's like a power play thing or like they feel like they always have to be dominant with people that they know, but they turn so submissive. It's crazy.
They turn submissive?
Yeah. I mean, well,
Nigerians?
Yes. Most of my clients were Nigerians.
Oh,
to be honest with you.
Stop.
No. And so I was like, we were out at I can't even remember where we were out at.
Oh my God.
So then I met this guy, and then he was just like, we were just like talking, and we liked each other or stuff like that. And so like I told my friends, I was like, oh, he's just gonna take me home, it's fine, or whatever. So then we ended up going back to his place, and obviously he wanted to like get a little frisky, and I was just like, no. And he was just like, what? And I was just like, I'm not gonna do it. And then I was like, I'm gonna tie you up. And he was just like, what? And I was just like, yeah.
This is the one of the best interviews I've ever done. I'm having so much fun.
So I tied him up. And obviously I didn't have any ropes or anything. I didn't have any like tools or whatever. So I just do it with whatever was lying around. And he had like a robe. So like I literally tied his hands.
And this is a Nigerian
guy. He was just like, I was like, I don't know if it was like that alcohol. Because I was like, clearly, like I wasn't, at that point, I didn't really drink that much. And so he was like, he had clearly had a couple drinks. So that's why I was also confused. I was like, what are you going to do in this state?
Right.
But I tied him up at the same time because I was like, I'm not crazy.
You tied him up with what?
He had like, he has a robe. So like I just took the belt off of the robe and tied like his hands up, and like I went to camp, so I know how to tie knots.
So you used the camp stuff. Okay.
Shout out to camp, guys.
Okay.
But yeah, I do like a double knot in it, so he couldn't like just like break it easily. Because like at the end of the day, I'm still alone with a man that I don't know, and like he could easily overpower me. And again, I told you, I've been in fights before, and I've had dudes hit me before, and so it's just like I was like, I'm not stupid enough to like push it to the edge because I value my life at the end of the day.
Right.
And so from there, so like I tied him up, and then I made him just like sit there and like what, like he was just like, what are you doing? And I was just like, I'm tying you up because I was like, I don't want you to like do anything, because I was like, I told you I wasn't gonna do anything. And so like I literally just had a sandwich, watched the nanny, and like just sat, like let him just like sit
Hold
there
up.
And he was like hard. I don't know how he got hard, but he was hard as fuck. And so then he was just like, you're not gonna do anything about this.
Oh my goodness.
So
So you were eating a sandwich, and this Nigerian man is tied
a sandwich
up.
he paid for because I had to.
And he made the sandwich.
No, he had to. I Uber Eats it because I'm not gonna I don't trust him to cook.
So he's tied up in the corner somewhere.
No, he's lying on the bed, and so he's just tied up on like lying on the bed, and like and I'm eating a sandwich on his bed, which I wouldn't let people eat on my bed, but what it's part of the whole like thing. So I didn't realize it's like a whole dominant thing or whatever, and so then I was just like, I am kind of liking this. So like this is fun. I'm having a good time, and so then and so then. He was just like, please, baby. He's like begging me.
Did he have the Nigerian accent doing it? He was like, please, baby.
Please, baby. and so then I finally like
baby, I beg you.
I finally like untie him so he can like relieve himself, because like obviously like he was like he was hard. And so then I was just like, wait. So then I took the plate that I was eating my sandwich on, I gave it to him, and I was like, come on the plate, and then I made him eat his cup. And so then he did it, and then he really liked it, and he came again after that, and so he paid me like, God, what was it?
Oh my goodness.
Like, and then he like after that, so like I left like after that because I was like, I'm done. And so and then he paid me, and I was like, why are you giving me money? And he was just like, oh, I had a nice time. And I was like, he's like, I just had a nice time. And I'm like, oh
my goodness.
I was like, wait, I didn't really do anything.
So that's when a little light bulb in your head.
Boom.
And then you said I could get paid for this.
I did. And the thing is, it wasn't like I was actively seeking people out.
Right.
Like it was more so they would, I don't know if it's
You
like
just got referrals.
I don't know if it was referrals, the aura. People would just come to me and like do stuff. There was one time I locked this dude in his apartment to like, when I got better at got better at like the bondage ties and stuff like that, I have like my own rope that I use. And so like I hog tied him in his apartment. Well, I didn't like lift him up, but I put like a hog ties on him and like I locked him outside on his patio on his balcony. It was like downtown Dallas.
Girl.
And so then I left him there for like the whole day. And then I left, went, did my stuff, came
Are
back.
you serious?
And he loved it. And then the one
gosh.
time I went to like one of these playrooms and like there was like, so in some of the playrooms, like different nights have different themes or whatever.
Mhm.
This specific night I went to, there was this dude like sitting in a tub and like letting people, instead of like you go to the bathroom, you can just like pee on him. So I was like, I peed on a random dude.
Now, was that a golden shower? What they say that means a golden shower or whatever.
Well, this was more of a shower. This was a golden bath because he was like sitting in a tub. So like literally, it was like multiple urine things. Like he was literally just like enjoying it. Yeah,
Oh
and
my
people
goodness.
like that stuff. One of my guys like to be like smothered, and so like
Oh my gosh, Irene, you were 22 or 23, but you were living the life of a 55-year-old.
No, yeah, and I stopped. I actually did stop. I stopped when I think I got like maybe like 28, 27. I think that's when I stopped.
So would it be fair to say you were an escort? What would you call that? What name would you have?
I don't know if an escort is the right name because I don't know if escorts like have sex or not or whatever, but like I never
Not necessarily.
I was like, I didn't have sex with them, but I definitely like it was definitely a transactional basis for sure. It's not like I was ever in love with them.
So how would you define it? Would you define it as a sex positive individual?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I think it's just more of a sex positive. I was like, I don't know if it's because one thing I always think about is maybe it's like the culture here that makes you think like you have to have sex. If you don't have sex, like if you don't have sex with somebody, then something's wrong with you. Like,
in America,
yeah, because like people look at me when I'm like, oh, I'm 30 years old, I'm a virgin. They're like, so are you sick or are you? That's literally how people look at me. Like,
yes. Yeah,
because they see like this beautiful woman and they're like, oh, so she must be sick or crazy or something. Like something must be wrong. Because why the hell would
crazy.
You not?
Wow.
And so it was a whole portion of me trying to figure out like what I want, what I like what. So that's why it's very sex positive because I feel like if I had these conversations before, maybe I wouldn't have had maybe I wouldn't have done, I wouldn't have been so confused or I wouldn't have made the decisions I did, because more so it was curious. I was just curious. I never figured it out. And back then it wasn't like Google was a thing. Like I was growing up with dial-up. I remember AOL, dial-up internet. It's not like it's not like these things were very readily available compared to now where obviously you can literally search anything.
And this is really primarily the reason why we're having this conversation is for parents to actually have that open conversation with their kids. This is why conversation is very important. And this is why we're having this interview and we're talking about it because we're just not talking about this for the sake of having a discussion.
Right.
We're teaching out there. We're trying to talk to our audience, the parents, the kids, and just appeal to everybody because it's important. Parents, if you're watching this, it's important to have a conversation with your kids.
Yeah.
You could be an African parent, okay? You guys are raising your kids in first world countries, and the culture here is very different. And so make sure you get there, open up, talk to your child about sex. A lot of parents really don't want to talk about it, especially African parents. I don't know about American parents, but African parents feel like, oh no, this is forbidden. But where is the child supposed to learn that from?
Yeah.
kids really respect their parents more, and it's better for them to hear it more from their parents than elsewhere. Because when they hear it elsewhere, then it becomes something else.
Yeah.
Your kid starts being an escort. If not an escort, they start experimenting, getting paid for it. And in your instance, it's not like you needed money. You
Yeah.
already had a corporate job.
Yeah.
So you needed that kind of open communication and everything. So really, thank you very much for sharing about this. So as the years progressed, I'm sorry, how much do you think you made from this?
Oh my God.
Business, side hustle, business,
Side hustle,
whatever we
business.
can call it. How much do you think you made?
Are you like talking about like whenever I was like handed like actual money, or like are you talking about like the clubs, restaurants, flights?
I mean, whenever you would charge for your services were bondage,
smothering, abandonment play.
Abandonment.
That's what I was like. Yeah, like some people are into that
stuff like that. So I'm talking about, however, you were paid for your services. If people hired you to, would people hire you to hang out with them?
So that's what I'm saying. It wasn't never anything like, oh, like you hit me up to like do it. It was more so I would be out and we would just like vibe for a little bit, or either they knew me from somebody else, or like they were just like just meeting me right then and whatever. And then it would just happen in a natural flow. So it's not like I ever like had like a website or like a referral contact or anything. Okay. It was just always happen.
Then how would it lead to you getting paid? Would you ask for the money, or would you tell them when you talk to them, hey, I charge?
Oh, I demanded it.
What? I'm sorry, I had to. What?
Well, that's the whole point. They're submissive. So I don't ask for anything. I demand. And so that's it.
So what do you mean demand? Like, give me an instant. Like, what would you?
So the guy I left, like the guy I left on his patio or whatever. When I came back, I think I left him at like, it was probably like 9 a.m. And then I went about my day, because obviously I still had to work. So I went about my day and did my things. So I came back probably around like 8.
So you left him on the patio. Wait, was this during the week, the day, and the weekend?
This was, I think it was a Thursday. It was like a
So did he have a job?
I don't care.
Okay, so you just left him on the balcony.
Yeah, because I was like,
patio,
we went
tied up. The whole night?
The whole day. So like anybody can see him, and like he was just there, and like he pissed on himself and everything. And so like,
girl,
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like people enjoy that type of stuff. Like submissive enjoy that type of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, like they get some pleasure from it, and like because he was hard as a fucking rock when I came back, so he enjoyed it. And so then when I came back, I untied him or whatever, let him take a shower or whatever. Then we went out to eat, and then I was like, okay, well I'm about to go home. You need to Zelle me XYZ now. And then he did, and I left, and that's it.
Wow. So each time you would tell them, Zelle me the money. There wasn't Cash App then, was there? I don't know.
I mean, there was Cash App, but I was like,
okay. So
I mean, at that point they have my number. I mean, it was like at that point they have my number.
So roughly, how much did you make?
I never really counted it. I never thought to sit and count it.
But I mean, in estimation, like what like estimating you, and estimation doesn't have to be accurate. You could be wrong, but
yeah, I'd probably say I made like $60,000.
$60,000.
Yeah, probably. And it,
wow.
I would say over the course of 22 to like 5 years,
60,000. Okay.
Because it wasn't like I was doing it every day.
Yeah.
It was like once in a while type of stuff. And so yeah, I was like, I'd say probably like 60,000. Now that I'm thinking back at it, I could have bought a fucking nice ass car.
So you were doing these things, performing these services, and your parents had no idea.
No.
And this is YouTube. They might end up seeing this.
They're probably going to see this, or somebody's going to show it to them, and then they're going to see it.
So if your parents are going to see this, what message do you have for them? if they get a hold of this video?
It's not, I don't necessarily want to like put my parents in there. It's really not about them. And
Right.
that's why I decided to do this. It was
Mhm.
more so just showcasing like myself and what I went through
Right.
during that whole entire time, is because we don't really communicate. Now we're trying to communicate better,
Mhm.
but I mean, I'm 30 now, so it's
You're
just
not, yeah.
like
Mhm.
it's
Okay.
like it's neither it's here or there, and
Mhm.
so I don't want it to. It's not necessarily a dig at them. It's not to make them feel bad. It's not
Right.
to like. It's nothing about that. It's just like sharing my truth and hoping it would inspire somebody else's
Absolutely.
parents to be like, hey, maybe it's uncomfortable. Yeah,
Yeah.
no one wants to talk about that stuff with their child. Like it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But at least try to have those conversations with them so they don't feel weird, because sex is everywhere here. Like even in regular TV shows, like
Mhm.
even the kids, they're making out, they're having boyfriends, they're having
Mhm.
all this. It's everywhere here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you don't really talk about it, how do you expect your child to know what's
Yeah.
right or wrong? Like
Hey,
you're leaving it up to the world to figure out.
totally. I respect that. And so tell me, what challenges did you encounter during this lifestyle? I mean, yes, you tied them up most of the time, you were in control, but did you ever face any challenges, any people that wanted to do other things to
Oh yeah,
you,
for
harm
sure.
you?
Mhm.
And how did you take
I
care
mean,
of
it's
it?
Texas. I got a gun, baby.
You've got a what?
I got a gun, baby. It's Texas.
This ain't Texas.
No,
Okay.
but to be honest, like it was scary because you
Mhm.
know, at the end of the day, I'm a woman. At that time, I was way smaller, and so it's not like I was even like able to like overpower a man. And so, but it was simply able to honestly, by the grace of God, to be honest, because
Mhm.
I really, the worst case scenarios I've had is like they wanted to like go all the way type of thing, and I would just simply tell them no, and I was like, I'm leaving. And so
Mhm.
like we would like go argue back and forth or whatever, and then that was it. But then also like I am a fighter, so
Okay.
so
Yeah.
so sometimes there was one time I had to like grab a knife, and I was just like, I will stab you. I was like, I'm not scared.
You-
I was
what?
like, I will stab you. I'm not scared. I was like,
Wow.
okay, I will
Uh-huh.
stab you.
Okay.
So you either let me go out this door or you're gonna be out this door in the ambulance. Either
Wow.
way, I don't care. I'm still leaving.
So it never occurred to you to want to call the cops? You would just take matters into your own hands.
Yeah, because remember, my parents don't know about this. So like if I call the
Mhm.
cops, it's
Yeah.
gonna become an issue. So I
Right.
can't do that. So I had to like figure it out on my own. And so at that time, I think I ended up getting like mace and a taser. And then when I got older, I was like, I just got me a gun, and so
Yeah.
it made it easier.
Okay. So on a more kind of more narrow-minded questions, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I don't know if it does, but what role do you believe education plays in promoting sex positivity, and how can we improve sexual education in schools?
So I think it plays a big role, because for me, I wouldn't even have known the intricacies of sex if it wasn't for my school, because we were all taken into the little middle school
Mhm.
cafeteria area and we were given a presentation, but the presentation was more about STDs. So it was
Okay.
more about like, if you have sex, you will lose your leg. You will do literally, it was
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so it was just definitely, I know it was definitely a scare tactic, but I don't really think it worked, because obviously there were pregnant people in my school all the time. Like even in middle school, when I was like, I'm talking about like 13, 14-year-olds who were pregnant, walking around pregnant.
Wow.
So
I just saw one today, actually, when I was driving. I looked at a kid and I was like, oh my gosh, she looks like a kid. And so a kid was having a kid. I mean, she
yeah.
could just, there are instances when you are like, okay, this person looks young,
Mhm.
but they're old, but they look young.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this person looks young, and they are young.
They're
So
actually young. They're
yeah,
babies.
so I kind of saw that today and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope she's ready for this. But obviously, it had nothing to do with me, but it was just a thought that just happen,
No, yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean that's what you're seeing in schools these days, and it's just getting worse and worse. So like that's constantly in front of your kids' faces. No matter how much as a parent, like you're like, oh, I'm trying to censor the things that they see. You're not in the schools. You're not there every day. Like at the schools, the friends, the people that they're around, the cussing, the everything is there. So if you don't have these conversations with your kid, you're leaving it up to the public school system to figure it out. And from my experience, it was a scare tactic. And obviously people were like, ew, gross, but no one, you couldn't ask questions, you couldn't talk about it. And they made it seem like sex was like a terrible thing. And so I'm not saying to like promote sex like to kids, but like at least have like honest and open conversations about it and being like, hey, this is how you can be safe. This is how you can do this. If you choose to do this with this, you shouldn't do this with somebody that's like 10 years older than you, or like you shouldn't be forced or coerced into this. These are the like, those conversations we never had. We never had those. And so now it's become like, with the whole Me Too movement and everything else going on, it's become such a, consent has become such a big thing. But I'm thinking about it like, okay, so now you're doing all of this stuff, but you're not fixing the issue, because the young girls in school who's, if they have the parents who even care to have the conversation with them, or like, not even having the conversation, what option do they have left? If they don't have like an older sister, or if they don't have like a open-minded aunt or something like that, which I didn't. So I'm the oldest. I didn't have an open-minded aunt. I didn't have like anybody to talk to. And so I just kind of figured it out. And by the grace of God, nothing terrible happened to me. And so, but that's not necessarily the case for everybody else. And so it's just scary. So to answer your question, I think education in schools is paramount, and I think we could do a better job about it.
Good.
For sure.
Yes.
Especially in like conservative states. I was like, I mean, again, this is Texas, so it's a conservative state. I don't know what they do in New York, but all I got is Texas.
Okay. So what are some common misconceptions about sex positivity that you would like to address?
Oh, like you're like a slut or something like that, or like you're just out here whoring yourself out for whatever reason. Like, I mean, that's what
would some people say that to you. Would they?
Oh no, they wouldn't say it to me because I fight. But so like, they wouldn't say it to me because I fight. Yeah. But I'm sure that they said it to other people.
Yeah.
And so I think just the misconceptions about like, there's nothing wrong with talking about sex. Like. It is a natural thing. Like I was talking about, like, you expect me to get married and have kids. How do you think kids come into this world? God? Like, it's just like a story is going to drop it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people are like sometimes in like a weird place, like they don't like the sex, or like they don't like the way you do certain things, but they're too scared to talk about it because it's like, oh my God, we don't talk about sex. And I'm just like, if you're not making me satisfied, I'm gonna tell you. Like, what's the point? What's the point? And so I just don't know. And I was just like, somebody was like, oh, so you're saving it for marriage? And I'm like, no, not really. Because honestly, if I get married to a person I haven't had sex with and I don't like the sex, and like, what if they're like one of these people who don't like to listen to like sex talk or whatever, and like it's constructive criticism. Like, it's your job. It's like a review. A review.
Right.
And so we're just having a personal review.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm talking about. Like, being sex positive honestly shouldn't even be a thing. It's more so being yourself positive. That's why I like to think about it. It's like, if you're not going to campaign for yourself, then who will?
Right.
You really have to be able to tell, like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I want to try this. I want to experiment this. That's the whole. And honestly, there's so many different types of like sex places here in Dallas alone. There's like at least 5 or 6 that I've been to personally,
really?
Like sex rooms and stuff like that.
Wow.
So it's literally there for you to go and experience and see. Okay. So if it's not, it's just like people like get so like shy or get judged by it. And so that's the craziest thing. I was like, it's not, if you're both consenting adults, there's nothing wrong with it. That's the only issue I have is like, if you're not consenting and you're not like an adult, then no, obviously. But
so how has being sex positive impacted your mental health and relationships?
Ooh. So, well, obviously relationships, there is none.
Okay.
I would say for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think it has impacted my relationships at all because we really never get to that point. And it just desensitizes me to the act in general. So like for me, sex is not a big, like it's not like a thing that I need to start off the relationship with. But a lot of men, especially nowadays, especially like in my age group, are like, oh, I just want to fuck. And I'm just like, well, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, well, no. And so that literally is like the end of the conversation. So it's just like,
Yeah.
I will say what it has helped me do is be more candid about what I'm looking for and what I want. So I stopped doing like just like the services stuff like when I was like 27 because like I literally got into a point where I'm just like, this doesn't really serve me. It was like fun when I was like going out and partying and doing all this stuff or whatever. It was just fun. But I no longer do that type of stuff. I mean, like I'm in a different era of my life.
Right.
And so it just didn't really serve me. And again, I didn't really need the money. So it was just like, I was doing it for the plot. It was fun. It was, I won't lie, I did have fun. So it was, I have like some crazy stories. But now it's just more so I really just want to like meet somebody that I genuinely like and want to be with. So I will say it helped me like free me, like get rid of like some of that weird energy and weird like perceptions that I had about like what sex is, what relationships are. As far as my mental health, I'm still like a Cancer. I get obsessed really quickly. You might smile at me, like look at me, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm in love.
Oh my gosh.
No, but I think it's just been more freeing, and especially doing stuff like this to talk about it. I told you I was so nervous, like to even come here and talk about this stuff. So,
hey,
putting it out here, like just letting it letting it go is just it's very freeing, and it's just allowing me to like be my authentic self, which I am. And at the end of the day, people will love you or hate you regardless.
Absolutely.
So I might as well just be who I am.
Right.
And none of these hoes can beat me up. So, so that's also okay.
So finally, last question. What changes would you like to see in society regarding attitudes towards sex and sexuality in the future?
I would love for people not to be so close-minded, not to be so narrow-minded, especially from like coming from a men's perspective, like being bisexual as a man or whatever. It's okay. I was like,
what? You would date a bisexual man?
I have dated a bisexual man.
Oh my! Hold up, Irene. We're about to end the interview, and you. What?
Like, what do you mean?
How does that work? I mean, don't you get insecure?
How does that work?
Do you not get insecure about
but
other
that's
men?
what I'm saying. Like, if you're insecure about other men, and like you would be insecure about other women, period. I'm not. Well, I'm not an insecure person. I'm a jealous person for sure. But if the person I'm with makes me feel like I ain't got nothing to worry about, then there's really nothing to worry about.
Okay.
That's it. It's just like y'all make it, it's not like if it's a man or a woman type of thing. It's more so, who are you with that's out here flirting with everybody that's freaking
Yeah.
And so that's the issue of why you thinking everybody that walk up to them are like, whatever. But I was just like, in the same way, like, okay, so like you see like a celebrities or you see a woman walking down the street, you're like, oh, she looks really good. Oh, she's like super beautiful. She's gorgeous. So why can't a man do the same thing? See, look at you. Look at you.
I'm just looking at her, and I'm just clueless.
No, but I think
I
just think that's so crazy. Like, why is it such a big deal? It's not that big of a deal.
It's not biblical.
But if you're gonna say it's not biblical, then it's also the same thing with like two women being together. How is it easier to accept two women being together than two men? It's the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. It's the same
thing. it's just like the way society treats men being bisexual versus women being bisexual, it's completely different. And that comes with like the whole, and then I think that's one thing I learned in the playrooms is like, at this point, it's an orgy. Everybody's touching. Somebody's dick is touching. Like, everybody's touching somebody. Like,
oh my goodness.
I was like, everybody. But like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
It opened you up to a lot of things, and now you know a lot.
I've seen, yeah, I was like, I've seen it. It played, like, it doesn't, it's not, it's really, really not that big of a deal. Everybody makes it seem to be this whole thing. As long, like, again, consenting adults, you are honest about your status of like whatever diseases or whatever you got going on, then that's cool. I was just like, it doesn't, I'm not gonna yuck nobody's yum. I was like, I'm not. So that's one thing I wish in today's society, and also being more open to talking, especially to like the younger kids, because they see it anyway. They're seeing it, and if it's not from the TV shows or the movies, it's from their
iPads
friends
and everything, and talking to their friends. You're right.
If you think about it, look at all the music videos you've seen. All them girls just be like in nothing but clothes, like nothing, little bikinis, little tight thingies, no clothes. Everybody shaking ass. Everybody grinding on everybody. Like, duh. So it's just like, there's only so much you can do and the best thing as a parent, I think, would be to just let them know, like, hey, the world's crazy, but here in this household, I got your back. And
ooh, I love that. I got your back. So Irene, any last words you want to say to these people in the camera? Any last words? And if you want to, probably you want them to look for you or find you on Instagram. If not, that's fine. But any last words you want to tell the CarameLLized subscribers? And guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe.
Hit that button right there.
Okay. And we're here in Dallas, Texas.
You know, if y'all subscribe, I might come back again for a part 2.
So anything, or you're good?
All I want to say is thank y'all for listening to my story and listening to a part of my life that is very dear to me. At the end of the day, it made me who I am to this day, and I don't regret anything that I have done in the past, nor do I think I'd probably do it over. I probably would do the same thing at the end of the day. But to be honest with you, to be real with you. But y'all be kind in the comments. I'm not going to give y'all my ad stuff because I don't know if y'all going to be kind or not. But anyway, love you guys. Bye. Bye.